can work it out. 'Cause giving in is oh so hard when love is at stake. Where there's a will, there's a way. Now if we only knew how. Learning to love, learning to laugh and fear, learning to fight through these years. Let's bring us closer together. Learning to love, learning the first golden rule, knowing that anything is possible. 'Cause nothing's gonna keep us from, nothing's gonna keep us from learning the ropes.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. It's a hot summer night. And welcome back into Learning the Ropes. I got a little Vince McMahon on that. It does it to me every time I hear this theme. I just have to say. Anyway, welcome back into Learning the Ropes. I'm XLJ, the OG. And tonight we're going to continue on talking about the history of SummerSlam. This is part 2 of our 3-part series. We're going to be discussing SummerSlam 99 all the way up to 2010. So it's going to be a hell of an episode. I cannot wait to get started. But as always, when we kick it off, we got to do it right. With a little plug-a-palooza here on Learning the Ropes. Now, this week on Cole TV, once again, it has been an action-packed week. If you want to catch a replay of Pro Wrestling 60, that's available now, as well as we've got replays of our latest Colecast episode went up this week, where we're talking TGIF Friday. I had the pleasure of being joined by the one and only Husky Rhodes and Light Skin Gaijin, and this was a pretty cool one, folks. We were talking all things about TGIF Friday from ABC. You know, the sitcom block. It's a pretty fun show. Definitely should check it out. Replay is available. TGIF. Also, this week, part 2 in our 3-part series on Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix from our good friend Light Skin Gaijin is also available now over on Cole TV. Sorry, I got some audio feedback there. And tomorrow night, you're going to want to tune in because we got a brand new episode of Friday Night Movie Night. We'll be joined with the Best Scout Foundation, Mr. Broll, Best Scout Machine, Jay Knows Wrestling, myself. And this one's going to be a fun one you're going to want to check out because it's Roddy Piper night. So we're going to be watching Hell Comes to Frogtown. You know, one of the shittiest Roddy Piper movies of all time. It's crazy, too, because he made a ton of movies, which we get into that tomorrow night. But that's tomorrow night. This is tonight. And tonight we are talking all things SummerSlam. And yes, I do have a guest joining me here with me tonight. He is the wrestling encyclopedia himself. You know him. You love him. One Michael MJDuplessis. Let's bring him on in.
What's up?
Oh, man. I feel like I need to go get a table now or something and, like, I don't know, do some Dudley shit or something. But yeah, so tonight we are getting in deep here. Hey, we're probably going to have some run-ins tonight, too, as well. So don't be surprised. We got some people popping in here, there, and everywhere. But this is going to be a good episode because we are talking SummerSlam. And now we're kind of getting into, like, the midway point of the history of SummerSlam. And there's some good ones in here. There's also some pretty bad ones, too, though. And to kick us off here tonight, I got to be honest with you. I don't know what your opinion is, Michael, but I think we're going to start off with a bad one, in my opinion. We're talking SummerSlam 99. It's just weak.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it bad, but I wouldn't call great. It is one of those mediocre, like, middle-of-the-line pay-per-views.
Yeah, it definitely didn't live up to the hype. Now, you do have a couple, like, really good matches on this card, but I mean, first and foremost, I think the big thing is to put yourself back in this time frame of 99, the height of the Attitude Era. This specific show, to me, this was going to be the crowning and the coronation of one Triple H, finally becoming like a top guy. And you have to look back at the history on this one because a little bit of controversy there, kind of like Stone Cold Steve Austin, who was the WWF champion at the time, wasn't really feeling it as far as like with dropping the belt to Triple H.
Yeah, they had heat at this point.
They had a lot of heat at this point. This is kind of a time frame people, like, I think a lot of people forget about this. just because I mean later on, I mean they would work so amazing together. But I feel like just the wrong decision was made in this matchup. This should have been Stone Cold against Triple H 1-on-1, but
Yeah, I love
instead,
Mick, but Mick did not need to be in this match.
yeah, I love Mick Foley too, and keep in mind too, Mick coming off of an injury, so that your main event of SummerSlam '99 was a triple threat match for the WWF Championship with Stone Cold Steve Austin defending against Triple H and Mankind. I also think too at the time Stone Cold was battling some injuries as well.
Yeah,
But I will say this: I feel like with Stone Cold's injuries, I think he already knew he was going to be walking away for a while, and I think Foley was just brought in mainly
to
to help
to carry the match.
and drop the belt. I said so Stone Cold could drop the belt, and that's exactly what happened because this was a shocker. I remember watching this and I couldn't believe like Mankind won the WWF title. He beat Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H in this triple threat match.
And I think what also hurts this match, they don't need a special guest referee. I know it's in Minnesota, but they didn't need Jesse there.
Yes, and that was another big thing too on this one, folks. Is Jesse the Body Ventura was your special guest referee for this main event matchup, and mainly it was because it was in Minnesota. And of course, Jesse was high off of being the governor there. It was a huge story, a huge deal. But yeah, I agree with you, Michael. There was no need for him to be the referee in this matchup. I get why it happened, but it was just kind of like, eh. But the rest of this card, though, like outside the main event, there is one really good matchup on here. And let's just go ahead and talk about it. To me, the surprise of the night, the Greenwich Street Fight. I think by far is the best matchup on this show.
Yes.
Test against Shane McMahon.
Phenomenally. And I wanted to bring this up, and I will die on this hill. Test should have been WWF champion.
Yeah, I love Test. I was
especially at this point. He had proved himself so much in that upper middle card.
Yeah.
Lower main event where he had the match with the Triple H, the Shane feud. Like he had proved himself. I think not for a long run, but he should have held the belt.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, my friend. Like I feel like he should have got some sort of title run at this. I love Test, man. I love and this match, like I thought it was epic. And underrated this is also what's that?
The most underrated big man.
Yeah, Test, absolutely. Absolutely. He could go, man. But also to me in this matchup, this was really like the Shane McMahon coming out party because we already knew like he could go against X-Pac with that incredible match at WrestleMania the year prior or earlier in the year. But yeah, this was the first real like kind of epic Shane McMahon like matchup. And trust me, folks, we're gonna be talking about some really great epic Shane McMahon moments here on some of these.
He shows out at SummerSlam.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, I thought the whole storyline, if you don't know, essentially it was Test was dating Stephanie McMahon, Shane's sister. And like it was like the stipulation was if Test won, he would get to continue to date Stephanie. However, if he lost, then he had to stop seeing her. So it's kind of playing off of that. And of course, it had the Mean Street Posse involved. I'll never forget, like they had the couch sitting there, like at ringside for them and set. Yeah. It's a great matchup.
Shane didn't know they were going to show up, and
yeah. And this is the first time too where Shane does like one of his trademark maneuvers where he jumps from the top rope and does that diving elbow through the announce table. First time we'd ever seen anything like that. So, like, this is definitely the best match on this card by far. Now,
my second favorite match on that card is the tag team turmoil match.
Yeah, that was a fun one. This is great too because you have so many great teams in this one. So, the second match on this card is the tag team turmoil for #1 contenderships. You do have the Acolytes do win this matchup, but you also have the Holly Cousins are in this matchup. Crash and Hardcore. You had Edge and Christian are in this matchup. The Hardy Boys or the New Brood at the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, also I think there's a team we're missing. Midian, right? Midian and Viscera,
Yeah,
I think was in
yeah,
it.
Gangrel.
Oh, I
No,
thought Gangrel was
no,
with
it's Midian Viscera.
yeah, I think it's Midian and Viscera.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Viscera.
yeah. But you're right. The tag team turmoil was fun too, and Edge and Christian lasted in the matchup for a long time. But like I say, ultimately, of course, the Acolytes did end up winning the matchup.
Like, I know Edge and Christian, Matt Hardy have a list of great matches. That first section of this tag team turmoil match that those four went at it, probably one of my favorite matches they've ever had.
Wow. Okay, I can respect that. I mean, they
were,
always had great stuff, but
but that was just for like something like this where you have to fit so like much in such a little time.
Yep.
With because a turmoil match is not easy to do. They went hard.
Yeah, because you got like a little amount of time, and I mean the match itself went about over 16 minutes. So
yeah.
But speaking of tag teams, let's take a look back at your tag team champions at this time, which is one of the most underrated teams, and like I think it gets a lot of love from us hardcore wrestling fans. But the team of Kane and X-Pac. I love Kane and X-Pac together.
Yes.
And they were going up against listen to this team, the Big Show and the Undertaker. And I'm not talking like Biker Taker. The Unholy Alliance, because this is devil worshiping Undertaker.
Yeah, this is like Attitude Era, like creepy
Ministry
Undertaker.
of Darkness. Yeah. He's like, come sit under my learning tree, Big Show. Yeah.
I loved X-Pac and Kane for the great tag team, but their entrance where they would do the 2 X's in green, and then the last one where Kane would throw his hands down and it would be red.
Yeah.
That is awesome. It's the little details.
Oh, yes. I was going to say, yeah, it's the little details. You know, one thing I love too, I would always do on like my WrestleMania 2000, I would totally put Kane in green gear, make his costume green, man. I was like, damn it, why wasn't Kane wearing green gear? I'm just saying. Make him the big green.
There's actually like a Mandela effect that people like remember him wearing green gear, and it's hilarious.
Yeah. And it's like, no, folks, it didn't really happen. But on the rest of your card, now this one I want to talk about briefly. I love the hardcore match on here. Al Snow against the Big Boss Man for the hardcore title.
The best thing about that though was Road Dogg on fucking commentary.
Road Dogg on commentary they go to cross the street and they're fighting in a bar like across from the arena essentially.
And he's there talking shit.
Yeah, and the Road Dogg's just talking shit and like Roman Road Dogg here. Also great opener on this one too. D'Lo Brown against Jeff Jarrett for the Intercontinental European title, and you get a heel turn from Mark Henry.
Yes.
So, because Mark
Jeff Jarrett, I've started to realize through his whole run, has always had the gimmick of a chauvinistic pig.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like that's his whole gimmick.
That's kind of a
chauvinistic pig from the South.
It worked for him. He pulled it off quite well. I don't know what that says about him, but yeah. And then also a Lions Den weapons match as well between Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman takes place on this card.
That match is entertaining as shit.
Yes, it is. I always love the Lions Den matches, like seeing Shamrock in there. Like I think this is one of only 2, maybe at least that I remember on pay-per-view. Because we talked about the last week on Learning the Ropes. We talked about the first one between Ken and Owen at SummerSlam '98.
Yeah.
But yeah, this time you amp it up and you get some of Steve Blackman's weapons in there too. So
I fucking love Steve Blackman.
And then there is a women's championship matchup on this card too, as Ivory defends her title against Tori. Not Tori Wilson, but I'm talking about the original Tori. But one of the big marquee matchups for this show that fell flat on its face. The matchup, the feud, the rivalry between The Rock and Mr. Ass. The Kiss My Ass match.
Great feud. Horrible ending match.
Yeah. Yeah, so they essentially bring some big lady out to like kiss ass or something. Oh man, it was brutal to watch this. Yeah, I agree. Ken Shamrock against Steve Blackman, it was just chef's kiss. But like speaking of kiss, man, I feel like Billy Gunn after this kind of got the kiss of death. because it was like they skyrocketed him instantaneously. He wins King of the Ring. He's going in this high profile feud with The
We
Rock.
forgot one team in that turmoil match.
Oh, who else was that?
Draws and Prince Albert.
Draws was in it? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. They must have been early on. I don't remember them.
Yeah, it was right after Midi and Viscera. They were there for a short time.
Oh, okay. So they were there for like a cup of coffee, essentially.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, SummerSlam '99. It's like I've always said this, and I still believe it to this day. As great as the Attitude Era was at the height of '99, I honestly felt like the majority of the big 4 pay-per-views from '99 were not that great. WrestleMania 15 was bleh. This wasn't that great. Survivor Series '99 was meh. Rumble '99 was decent, I would say. That's probably maybe the best out of the 4. But
but their other was that 8 pay-per-views always great. But yeah, they're big 4, never that good in '99.
Yeah, which is weird to think because that's what everybody talks about the Attitude Era. But the pay-per-views in '99, the main ones, just was not weak, man. They were, as MJF would say, mid. But it's okay, though, because we're going to fast forward 1 year later, and we're going to a mid-SummerSlam to, I think, in my opinion, easily in the top 5, one of the greatest SummerSlams of all time, SummerSlam 2000.
Every match on this card is phenomenal.
Loaded. And I think, too, if you wanted me, like I said it last week, 98 is the definitive, like, Attitude Era pay-per-view I go to.
Yeah.
But this is right up there, too. This is like a different era of the Attitude Era. But this is
like the brink of the
Yeah.
Like they know they've won the wars already, and
it's in the bank at this point. But man, there's some great matches on this card. So it kicks us off. We get your 6-man tag with the Right to Censor going up against Too Cool and Rikishi.
Fucking love the Right to Censor.
Yeah, and then
I love the Right to Censor's gimmick so much.
Oh, the Right to Censor gimmick was awesome. I couldn't agree with you more, man. Like Steven Richards, he killed that as the leader, and then the Good Father, along with Bull Buchanan. Later on, they would add Val Venus and Ivory. Yeah, the Right to Censor is, I think, one of those factions that just they don't get nearly enough love, but they should.
Not at all.
I mean, they did a tremendous job, and like they say, they're part of the Attitude Era. Also on this card, you got a one-on-one matchup between X-Pac and the Road Dogg, and I believe this was, if I remember correctly, I think this was like for the rights of DX or some shit like that. No,
so they had a rights to DX tag team match months later, where it was X-Pac and Road Dogg versus Billy Gunn and...
Oh, you know what? That was at Fully Loaded 99. So Mr. Ass, China and Mr. Ass. Okay, now you're right.
And then DX or X-Pac and Road Dogg had won the rights, but then they started having issues.
Yeah. So this was kind of the dissolving of their tag team group. Because
this was pretty much the ending of X-Pac.
Yeah, because Road Dogg would turn on X-Pac at the end, essentially, after X-Pac defeated him. And, well, the rest, they say, is history, pretty much. Road Dogg goes on to a tag team with a young Ron Killings, a.k.a. K-Quick, which is crazy to think Ron Killings has been around that long, but he has. That man is ageless. Love us some R-Truth.
He was around at the end of WCW.
Yeah.
Like, he was supposed to work with WCW.
Mm-hmm.
That's how long this man's been around. He's got pictures of Tupac and Eazy-E.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like this man has been everywhere. I love me some R-Truth, man. Also, and then X-Pac would go on to kind of form his faction, X Factor, which we're not going to talk about that.
I like X Factor.
They met well. It just kind of fell under the bus.
They did. They kind of fell, but they had a great theme song.
Oh, with the Uncle Cracker. I did a terrible interpretation of that.
I like Uncle Cracker.
Also on this one, you had an intergender match for the Intercontinental Championship. So your IC champ was Val Venus.
China in the Hall of Fame. By herself. China.
Oh, China? Oh, yeah, dude, totally. Yeah, because China...
This match, made me remember that, she's kind of goated.
Yeah. So it's Eddie and China. Of course, we gotta love that tandem of Eddie Guerrero and China. The
So
Mamacita.
perfect.
Oh my God,
So
going up
perfect. And
against
what
Trish
Dom and
Stratus.
Rhea are doing to bring that back right now, so goaded.
This is
Nobody's
very,
real like.
I don't think
Very few
anybody's.
people are like the correlations there. It's literally the new age China and Eddie, and
Yeah.
it's so great.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And then China wins one of her other was this her second or third Intercontinental title win? I
For a
think
second,
second one. Yeah. Now this one I found was an interesting one because the storyline I do remember at the time, although not too happy with the outcome. But Jerry Lawler going up
I
against Taz. Now the storyline here is Taz was just being a dick essentially to like the announce team.
yeah,
And
he
like
was going to like he was on that Thug Life. He would wear
yeah.
the shirt that said Thug Life, and he
Mhm.
big badass from New York.
Oh yeah.
Beating up Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross.
And Jerry Lawler would win this matchup, but I mean,
Horrible.
yeah,
They screwed Taz so many times.
yeah. Now let's get into some really good stuff though on this card. One of your first big moments of the night, the
This
hardcore title match.
When I think Shane McMahon and SummerSlam, it's
This,
this.
hey, and this is the clip we used to promote this episode tonight, actually. But yes, Shane McMahon defending the hardcore title against Steve Blackman, and like just the match itself was chaos. As like TNA was pretty. This was like more or less a glorified handicap match for a while, and then
Yeah.
of course Shane McMahon climbs on top of the Titantron of SummerSlam, and
Yeah.
one of the most insane bumps. Like outside of him getting thrown off the Hell in a Cell at WrestleMania in Dallas, like I still think this is like one of the craziest bumps because the man's literally 50 feet in the air. Like
Yeah.
it's no joke.
No,
Like he's
he
at the
should
top
have
of
died.
this massive set, and
Like
he
I don't care what he landed on. I don't care if they had mats or whatever.
Yep.
He should have died.
By all rights, he really should have, man. Of course, Steve Blackman would end up picking up the win there. Hell of a matchup here. You have a 2 out of 3 falls matchup between Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho, which they had a great rivalry at this time frame.
Phenomenal rivalry, and I
Oh,
know he's hated and he should be, but
Yep.
god damn is Benoit.
Hey man, Benoit was my favorite of all time, and that's like when now that shit happened with him. I mean, that's honestly what got me out of wrestling. It was hard. It's still a hard pill to swallow for me personally, but yeah. But you can't deny like the stuff. His in-ring work was like second to none, man.
Yeah, this match is phenomenal and an underrated Jericho and Benoit match. Like this match should be talked about in both their careers.
I totally agree, man. And boy, oh boy, now we're really getting into some moments because we're talking the very first ever TLC match for the WWF Tag Team Champions with Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, and the Hardy Boys. I honestly, everybody always talks about TLC 2 from WrestleMania 17, and it's a great
This is
one.
my favorite.
Thank you. Me too. This is my favorite out of all three of them. Is this very first TLC. I remember watching this pay-per-view live as a kid, as a teenager, and I was just blown away by the spots and stuff they were doing. I'll never forget Bubba Ray Dudley going through those damn tables, those 4 tables off that giant ladder.
See, my issue with 17 is they at the end there it got too convoluted with everyone interfering. Like everyone was those spots, but I'm just like, yeah.
That is true. That is true. There was a lot of outside interference in that one, but this just had so many insane spots. This is by far the best match of the night. There's some really good ones, but like that to me is like the match when I think of SummerSlam 2000. That's the very first match I think of is the TLC match. And I gotta say this, I don't think of this next one though.
No, it's a giant drop off.
Yes, so we go from TLC to a stink face match with the Cat against Terry.
And it's like when you think of the word stink face, you don't think of these two. Like,
no, not at all. Then you have Saturn's in Terry's corner, and you have Al Snow is in the Cat's corner.
Yeah,
for whatever reason, it's like whatever. We need to get him on the show, so the hell with it. And then you have this one. I felt kind of was like a little weak, considering these guys and their greatness. You have a no DQ matchup between Kane and the Undertaker. This is biker Undertaker, by the way, too.
Yes.
Which ends in a no contest because Kane gets his mask ripped off. Essentially, it's like,
And hot take. I know what they did in 03 with the mask. This is where they should have. This incident, if they would have kept the mask off and made him even more evil, more badass, and just
it would have
vengeful,
worked. Yeah.
This is where the mask should have completely came off.
Yeah, you got no argument from me here. I agree, man. And then
The thing with RVD was weak.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that here in a little bit. But the main event. Let's talk about your main event. This epic main event. Your triple threat match for the WWF Championship.
Great main event with a horrible storyline.
You didn't like the whole Stephanie Kurt stuff?
No.
Really?
The kissing thing? No.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about Triple H and Kurt Angle challenging The Rock for the WWF Championship. And yes, there was a storyline, like some tensions between Kurt and Triple H because Kurt Angle had kissed Stephanie McMahon on, I believe it was on SmackDown or Raw. It was a SmackDown, yeah.
Yeah.
I was okay with it. I liked it actually because I liked I just loved anything Kurt did at this point because he's still like the goofball, but now it's like you're kind of starting to take him serious as like the wrestling machine too. It was just an interesting dynamic for Kurt Angle at this time frame.
I was not a fan of the McMahons' super involvement in the storylines.
Okay, the McMahon Helmsley era, pretty much.
Yeah, 2000. Like one of the reasons I'm not a fan of WrestleMania 2000.
Oh well,
that would have been a great main event if you'd taken away the whole McMahon drama thing.
Well, I think in comparison, SummerSlam 2000 definitely blows WrestleMania 2000 out of the water. I think
that too, it does.
Yeah. But I just thought this was so cool because this was like Kurt Angle's first real kind of like big moment in his career, where he's going into a huge main event like this. So. But SummerSlam 2000, I think, is definitely, like I say, it's easily in the top 5 in my opinion as far as SummerSlams of all time.
Absolutely.
Now we go a year later, 2001, and now we're at the height of the Alliance against the WWF. And, I mean, I want to say this. I think the main events on this show are tremendous.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of fun matches, but there's just I don't know. This to me kind of just felt like a glorified kind of like a better version of a Monday Night Raw episode, honestly. I don't know. 2001 was just one of those ones that just you have a good opener, an Edge against Lance Storm for the Intercontinental title. And then you have the Dudleys and Test teaming up to take on the APA and Spike Dudley. And of course, Spike is at the height of that storyline where Molly Holly's his girlfriend, This was a pretty good one. X-Pac against Tajiri, where they combined the Cruiserweight and Light Heavyweight Championships.
Do you know the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship only had 11
only
winners?
11 defenses? Oh,
Yeah.
11 owners? Really?
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. That makes sense though, because there wasn't a whole lot of light heavyweights they used.
Yeah, it was a very short title reign.
Yeah,
span. But I found that out the other day. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting. Now I will say this: going into SummerSlam, I really enjoyed this rivalry, and I think you'll agree with me. Rhino against Chris Jericho.
This is my favorite Jericho.
Really?
Yes.
So the Jericho making fun of Stephanie and stuff.
God, so goated.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah. Oh, you trash bag, bottom feeding hoe, right?
When he says he's going to get rid of, and then he uses all those adjectives, and then at the end he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to beat you too, Rhino. It's just like...
Beautiful. Beautiful
so godly.
And I love when Rhino speared Jericho through the SmackDown set. That was still one of my favorite moments from this time frame as well.
The Gore is my favorite spear.
Yeah, the Gore. That's hard to argue. The Gore should deserve a hell of a lot more love.
And I love it more when he gores people through things.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This, and when he I know we're off topic, but when he gored Abyss through the wall in TNA.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Him just goring someone. I don't care what's behind you. I'm gonna kill you.
Well, I will say this though, it does get heightened too as well when you have Paul Heyman on the color, like calling it
Paul
Gore,
Heyman on
Gore,
commentary is
Gore.
great.
Yes. This was a fun one, a ladder match for the hardcore title with Jeff Hardy against
This is
Rob
my
Van
match of the
Dam.
night.
Yeah, there's one I do like slightly more than this, but it's hard to argue because this is a damn good matchup.
Like, this is where I'm like, Jeff, okay, you're psycho. This
Yeah.
was where I was like, okay, Jeff is a little.
He
He
does
gives
some
no
pretty
shits about his body.
yeah, he does some pretty crazy shit in this matchup. And RVD is, I mean, RVD, man.
Yeah.
And you go from a ladder match into a tag team cage match where it's for the WCW and WWF tag titles with Kane and The Undertaker, the Brothers of Destruction, going up against DDP and the Alliance MVP, Who Better Than Canyon? Man, I wish we got more Alliance MVP Canyon, damn it. Like, that should have lasted a little bit longer, in my opinion.
This is another great feud that would have been better had they taken away the extra shit. You take away the Sarah Stalker situation,
Yeah.
because that was creepy. That was an unnecessary gimmick
Agreed.
Gimmick and storyline, in my opinion.
I agree wholeheartedly, my friend. Yeah, it's not necessary. Not necessary at all. Like, even though that's what set up the whole Undertaker DDP thing, but I don't know. I
You could have done it differently.
You could have, and I felt like that was. Now let's get into the double main event, and in my opinion, this is my favorite match of the night: the WWF title matchup between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kurt Angle. Like, with this
should have been the main event.
Yeah, it should have. Exactly.
I
didn't necessarily agree with the finish, it being like a DQ.
I thought
I'm okay with it.
How just sneaky Steve Austin was, or Steve was at that time. I thought the DQ finish worked. Just because.
Oh, it totally did. Yeah, no, I totally
like,
agree. It's just I would have preferred, to get a cleaner finish, honestly. But it totally works and sets up for stuff on down the road between Steve. And this is also too where it's like we're getting like Kurt Angle wrestling machine badass. Don't fuck with Kurt Angle. Like,
this is like that. Like, he's a wrestling machine, but it's like pre-Perk Angle.
Yeah.
I just love saying that. Perk Angle's fun to say.
Perk Angle. And then now the other part of the main event here is a returning Rock going up against Booker T for the WCW title, which isn't a bad match. It's just Austin and Angle was a better matchup.
Yeah.
But like, it is kind of cool seeing like Booker T in this huge moment, this huge spot. And I think it was kind of like built sort of as a dream matchup, considering Booker was using his finisher even in WCW, the bookend. Yeah.
I actually just watched a clip of Chris Van Vliet doing an interview with Vince Russo.
Yeah.
And Vince said the greatest thing he's ever done in his time as a booker was being able to put the belt on Booker T for the first time.
It was a pretty great moment. Like, it's definitely the best thing he ever did in WCW by far.
Yeah. He said, because Booker T had been held down for so long that being able to like give him his shot was the best thing he had ever done as a booker.
Yeah.
And for once, I agree with Vince Russo. I don't know how I feel about that.
It's kind of scary. Okay, but now, Michael, let's go to 2001, 2002, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. I will stand on this hill. In my opinion, SummerSlam 2002 is the greatest SummerSlam of all time. From top to bottom, this card is just, to me, you can't beat it.
No, you're right. 02 is great.
Yeah, 02 is phenomenal. Like two tremendous main event matchups. One of the best openers in SummerSlam history. Kurt Angle against Rey Mysterio.
Fucking phenomenal. I forgot this match happened.
Dude, that is such a damn good matchup. The first time on one-on-one meeting between Angle and Mysterio.
And the crazy
Holy
thing,
shit.
it's less than 10 minutes.
Yeah, but you watch this matchup, it's just like, you're good when, like, if you give them just 10 minutes and it felt like it was 20 because it was just that damn entertaining, man. Ric Flair going up against Chris Jericho, which is kind of like an interesting like clash of styles there. Also, too, I found it interesting. Ric Flair actually won this damn matchup with a fucking figure four.
Shocking.
He never won with a figure four in like 20 years. Yeah. Oh man, this one's good. Edge against Eddie Guerrero.
This match is phenomenal.
Yes, it is.
I love Eddie. That's why.
Oh my gosh. And anytime Edge and Guerrero worked together, dude, it was magic.
Always phenomenal.
Pure magic. I tell you what, there's a hidden gem on this one, in my opinion, people sleep on, and this
tag match.
This tag match.
In my opinion, the two most underrated tag teams of this era.
Yeah. Yeah, we're talking
the Un-Americans, the most underrated faction of this era. I fucking love the Un-Americans.
Oh, yeah. And Lance Storm and Christian, and going up against Booker T and Goldust. Just like, these are like two tandems that were put together. I don't think was like a whole lot of stock put into it, but these four competitors made it work, dude.
Yeah.
And the Un-Americans was red hot at this point, too. Like, this is at the height of their heel heat, man.
Because this is at like the height of like, okay, we're a few years removed from 9/11. Or like, yeah. Like,
or a year, yeah.
Year. And so like everyone's pro-America. Like, they did the Un-Americans gimmick at the perfect time.
Yeah. Yeah, they really did, man. And this match, the next one that followed after that for the IC title, holy shit. Rob Van Dam against Chris Benoit.
Again,
ooh.
I'll say it again. It's going to piss people off. That dude is great.
Yeah, especially against RVD. And this is the height of like Rob Van Dam's popularity, too, because everybody is like freaking loving Rob Van Dam.
Yeah, and he's like got the stoner gimmicks, and he's not saying much. What he's saying is very coded in weed talk.
Yes, very much so. Like, I mean, Chris Benoit is just a wrestling machine at this point. Now, I would say the next matchup's kind of the weakest on the card. It's not like, it's okay. It's The Undertaker against Test. And Test at the time was part of the Un-Americans. So you had the American Badass against the Un-Americans. You kind of got that cool moment.
This is like there. The Un-Americans had like just tried to burn the American flag, and the Dudleys and the Undertaker stopped them. And
yeah, but you know what? You needed something light like this to get you ready for your last two matches, because your next one, love them and hate them, this matchup is probably easily, this man's had a million great matches, but it's probably in the top 5 greatest Shawn Michaels matches. The return of Shawn Michaels to the ring, going up against Triple H.
This storyline is phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. Because it was like...
Triple H hits him?
Yeah. Because it was like Shawn was getting back with Hunter. Like, he was kind of just back there as a manager, kind of a valet type of deal. Hunter turns on Shawn, takes him out.
They were going to reunite DX.
Yep, and then later on, like, Shawn gets jumped, like, in the parking lot, and then it gets revealed. You find out it's Hunter. And then Shawn makes that epic announcement, like, the doctors may clear me, maybe in time for SummerSlam. And, of course, Eric Bischoff, the GM at the time of Raw, is like, nope, I'm not sanctioning your match. And thus we get a unsanctioned street fight. And, dude, this match has, like, everything you would want in it. I mean, my gosh, like, the physicality on them in this matchup. Like, and it's just crazy, too, because it's like, holy shit, Shawn Michaels is back. In one fucking match, like, Shawn Michaels is back. It's just nuts.
Yeah, it's... Again, you love him or hate him, this is a fucking return.
Yeah, dude. I mean, just the physicality of this. JR on the color on this is phenomenal too. Especially you get to the finish of this is great too, with Shawn Michaels kind of with the roll up, and then Triple H hitting Shawn with the sledgehammer at the end, and JR like, you son of a bitch, you son of a bitch. Everything about this matchup is epic. I think it's one of the greatest SummerSlam matches of all time by far. It's like the definitive kind of like this epic rivalry, this epic feud that pays off at the biggest show of the summer, and it's just like it lived up to the hype and then some. Oh
It
yeah,
is
this is the first one after the brand split. That's a good point. That's a good point, Irish. Yeah, but we got one more match to go here. Your main event, The Rock defending the undisputed WWE Championship against Brock Lesnar. And yes,
the crowning of the guy who would be the baddest motherfucker for the next 20 years.
Yep. This is Brock Lesnar's big moment as he defeats The Rock and becomes at the time, the youngest WWE champion of all time, which is crazy to think, man. Because like literally Brock had debuted right after WrestleMania 18 and just was like, they just built him up and he was red fucking hot. Like, you knew going into this matchup, all of us knew like Brock was winning that damn title.
Yeah.
And that New York crowd too, man, they were into Brock too because they were booing The Rock during this matchup.
Yeah, shockingly, because this was like right before Hollywood Rock, and he was like still babyface, but he was coming and going as he pleased. So I think fans were a little irritated with him.
Yep. And The Rock, of course, reinvented himself, and like you're saying there, Irish. Yeah, he came back as Hollywood Rock after this. But it's a tremendous matchup, and it's just a great moment, like a crowning moment for Brock Lesnar to kind of be like, okay, literally, we calling this guy the next big thing. Well, the next big thing is here and has arrived. So, but dude, like between the HBK matchup and Hunter, and between like Brock and Brock, your opener with Kurt Angle, Rey Mysterio, RVD, Benoit, Eddie, and Edge. Just this fucking show is so damn good. There's not a dull moment. There really isn't. Now we go a year later here. Now we're talking SummerSlam 03. It's not a bad SummerSlam. There's some moments here, but it's just like in comparison to 02, it's like night day difference, man.
Yeah.
It's like we kind of were talking with 99 earlier, like because now we're in the Ruthless Aggression era, and like out of all the Ruthless Aggression SummerSlams, I would say this is kind of one of the weaker ones. Because there's even some matches on here you look at and you're like, I don't remember that. Like your opener is you have a Sunday Night Heat match, but we're not even going to bother talking about the Sunday Night Heat matches.
You don't want to talk about the 2-minute match?
Yeah, for the Cruiserweight title.
The 2-minute match with Shannon Moore? Actually, I love Shannon Moore.
I do too, yeah.
He should have been used better in WWE.
I agree with that. I agree. But your opening matchup on the main card, you got La Resistance defending their tag titles against the Dudley Boys.
You see, I see this, and like again, we were talking off air about me watching shoe interviews.
Yeah. You
hear about the Dudleys talking about how much they hated,
yeah. And Renee's talked a lot of shit about Bubba too, like in his podcast, or about how he's a dick.
They specifically they were okay with Rob because Rob kind of knew what he's doing, but Dudley's hated Rene Dupree and Sylvain Grenier.
Yep, this is true, man.
Because Sylvain Grenier, not a lot of people know this. He was a model. Like, he wasn't like he kind of looked into the wrestling thing because he was good looking.
Oh, he started off as a model. Okay, yeah, I didn't know that myself.
And they literally put him on the roster very green. They put him main roster very, very green.
Yeah. And like, not too far after this, they give Rene Dupree his kind of like singles push a year later, and it's just kind of like, eh. But you also had The Undertaker against A-Train on this show. It's there. I mean, no disrespect to either of those guys, but
because
and then this next one, this will put butts in seats. Shane McMahon against Eric Bischoff. Yeah, it happened.
We just talked about how great Shane is at SummerSlam.
And we get this. Everybody's got to have a bad one, I suppose, but and that's definitely Shane's here in this one. So the storyline on this time was like Bischoff had got real friendly with Linda McMahon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And Shane was defending his mother's honor. And also, too, was kind of feuding with Kane as well because Kane had tombstoned the Linda on the stage on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, this was like Kane was like, Kane was like Eric Bischoff's like monster.
Yes, yeah.
Because
Um,
what
the-
pay per view was it that he like Kane like electrocuted him? And we talked
the
about
balls. Like
Yeah.
I thought it was on Raw. Or it was the pay per view after this.
Yeah.
It was right around this time frame. But when you another thing this match is known for, kind of, sorta, is Jonathan Coachman turning heel, which is just like, wait a minute, what the fuck is the coach doing? Like, who cares?
it. Yeah, him being Bischoff's bitch. God, ugh.
Yeah, it's just it was pretty. It was.
He went from a third string announcer that nobody gave a shit about to like always on TV being a heel. It was weird.
Now, there's a matchup here that I think's a hidden gem that doesn't get enough love. There's a 4-way match for the U.S. title. Listen to
This match is great.
Eddie Guerrero's your champion, defended against Chris Benoit, Rhino, and Tajiri. Like, what a 4-way that is, man.
4 ECW originals just killing it for the U.S. title.
Yeah, and I also think, too, like, this is another one of those matchups where they only gave him, like, 10 minutes, but they're so damn good, it felt like 20, man. Like, this is a really good 4-way matchup. And, like, 4-ways are pretty hard to pull off as well. Like, you got to have the right group of guys, but, man, they did it, this one. Now, for the WWE Championship, you have Kurt Angle defending the belt up against Brock Lesnar in a rematch of their WrestleMania 19 main event matchup. It's decent. I don't think it's their better match. I mean, I think the best match they have really was that Iron Man match on SmackDown.
Yeah.
But
and this is definitely a dip from their WrestleMania 19.
Agreed. Minus the injury, though, of course, to Brock, that crazy shooting star press he should never fucking done from the get-go. But, this is another one where it's kind of like, it wasn't bad by any means. It's probably one of the more solid matches on this show, I would definitely say. Maybe the best match on the show, honestly. I mean, me personally, I like the 4-way better. And then we get the no-holds-barred matchup with Kane, a maskless Kane, going up against his former partner, Rob Van Dam. This was like Kane's like red hot, no pun intended at this point. It's like this heel monster. He just got,
and you know who's gonna win. Like RVD's taking the fall. It's just like, okay.
Yeah. And then your main event of SummerSlam 03 is the second ever Elimination Chamber matchup for the World Heavyweight Championship. So in this chamber, you have Triple H as your champion, defending against Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton, and like his first real main event on a pay-per-view ever. Yeah. Kevin Nash and Goldberg. And literally this match was just set up so Goldberg could beat the shit out of everybody, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because, I mean, there is some cool spots in this where he spears guys through the damn plexiglass on the chamber and stuff. I mean, he just runs roughshod through everybody. The finish, though, is weak. Like,
the finish is trash.
Like, Triple H should not have won this matchup.
No.
He ultimately would retain his title, but the finish just kills this fucking matchup. And like I say, like, there's some good SummerSlams, there's some bad ones. This one was just it was kind of mid. Another kind of mid, not living up to the spectacle that is SummerSlam. Now let's go forward 1 year as we're looking at SummerSlam 04 from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And this one, I don't know. There's some. This is like.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like
this
SummerSlam,
and I don't think as many people were on the radar watching the WWE at this point. But I mean, there's some pretty solid stuff on this show.
Yeah.
Your opener is kind of weird. It's the Dudley Boys And I mean, Bubba Ray Devon and Spike Dudley going up against Rey Mysterio,
Spike
Billy
had just
Kidman.
turned heel.
Yep, he's the
He's the
boss.
boss.
Yep, and Paul
What
London.
I love about this is you have the short-lived tag team of Paul London and Billy Kidman, and not a lot of people know this, but those two hated each other.
Yes, they did. This is true.
Legit despised each other.
Yeah, they fucking did not like each other at
So,
all.
you have them working these matches on pay-per-views. They can't stand each other. It's always makes for interesting TV for me.
Yeah. How about this one, Michael? Till death do us part. Kane and Matt Hardy. Oh, this storyline.
The longest running strenuous tag storyline, when you go from Kane to Matt Hardy storyline, and then you go from the Lita turning on Kane and joining Edge, and then you go from the Edge Matt Hardy storyline. This was literally a 2-year storyline that just switched wrestlers, but it was all from the same stem.
Yeah, this was really I don't know, it's this height of those just fucking bizarre stipulation matches, and we're gonna get into some more here too as we go further in SummerSlam history.
Rita having Kane's baby is one of the craziest things in the fucking world.
Snitsky coming in,
the kick, hey, it was good.
It wasn't his fault though. Just remember,
but it was good. Field goal.
It was a good field goal. It was a good punt, man.
You should have been hired by the Jets.
He could punt the hell out of a baby doll. Just
should have been hired by the Jets.
You're not wrong, man. How about this one? John Cena against Booker T, and this would kick off their
underrated 5-match series.
Yeah, so this would kick off their best of 5 series, and this would be match 1 in this series for the United States Championship, which I thought that was a great series too.
Irish, I'm gonna need more on that.
I went to jail that night watching Raw. We'll never forget that night, but I digress. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hear some of that. That's interesting. Let me ask you: when they were taking you away, did you say it wasn't my fault? I totally would have dropped that line. I'm just saying. That's interesting. Wow. Speaking of interesting, here's another interesting matchup too. Let's look at this triple threat match for the Intercontinental title. Batista against Chris Jericho against your champion Edge. And what's interesting, fascinating to me, this is really the turn of heel Edge.
Yes.
Oh shit, your house got raided? Damn, dude. But it wasn't your fault.
That was wild.
But so this is really the start of heel Edge,
Yeah, because he had got there in Canada, he got booed.
Yeah. Yeah, they were booing the shit out of him. And he's in Toronto, his hometown, and it's just wow. They were cheering more for Batista for crying out
I
loud.
think the heel turn started because of that.
Oh, absolutely.
He was like, okay, you're booing me, then fuck y'all.
Yeah. And then when you look at SummerSlam 04, I really think what defined this SummerSlam is these last 4 matches. These were definitely the top matches going into this show.
Eugene should have won.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. But first, how about Kurt Angle against Eddie Guerrero in a WrestleMania 20 rematch? Great match.
This is phenomenal. And again, why Eddie Guerrero is one of my favorites. This match was great.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good point. They have been cramming Edge down people's throats. So I can't argue with you there, Irish. But yeah, the Kurt Angle Eddie match is awesome. But yes, let's talk about it. And probably one of the most unique rivalries at the time. Triple H one-on-one with Eugene. And this is definitely Eugene's biggest matchup of his career. And yeah, I think the character should have got some more love. I mean, it was, say what you will, I thought in 2004 was very entertaining for his character.
You couldn't do that gimmick nowadays.
Oh, hell no.
You couldn't do that gimmick nowadays.
Yeah, no, you would be getting some people complaining.
Nick Dinsmore deserved this win.
Yeah, he really did. Nick Dinsmore did a phenomenal job in that character of Eugene, I thought.
He turned that gimmick into gold when it should have been flushed down the toilet.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. He was a wrestling machine and got buried, man. Yeah, and I mean, it was cool the spots he did with. I love the rivalry, honestly, the build up, because it
Yeah,
was like Eugene's favorite wrestler was Triple H, even though Triple H was the bad guy,
yeah.
We still loved and supported Triple H. Triple H used that to his advantage in his rivalry with Chris
Using a
Benoit.
mentally disabled guy on TV is crazy. Looking back
Yes,
at it, though, like
and
it is wild.
I'll never forget like William Regal or Master Regal. It's just like you leave that young boy alone. Yeah. Oh man, it was an interesting rivalry. I think. Yeah, it would have been if Eugene won, man. That would have been freaking epic. Like, but and of course, I think also what kind of hurt him at this time frame too is later on he would get injured.
Yeah.
But still though. And then we go to your WWE title matchup with JBL defending against The Undertaker. And I just remember this one being like we're pretty much on the limo where he just pretty much got choke slammed on the. I thought it was for. Are you sure? Are you talking about this title match? I'm pretty sure it was for the world title or the WWE title. I think it was on the line.
Yeah.
But ultimately, JBL.
Yeah, Triple H didn't have the belt at that time.
Oh yeah, no. At this time frame, no, and he wasn't until like later on. But but let's talk about the main event, your last matchup, and once we get another monumental moment in the history of wrestling. But because of one of the people involved, it doesn't get talked a whole hell of a lot about. But this is Randy Orton's first world title win is at SummerSlam 04 as he defeated Chris Benoit for the world title. And Irish said it earlier, man. I was not a fan of Randy defeating Chris Benoit because Chris Benoit was my guy, number one. And number two, I was just surprised that they were already putting the belt on Randy. Now, in hindsight, I think it does kind of make sense, but it would have made more sense if they had done it right and the progression of the feud between Randy and Triple H had paid off, but it just went to shit after this. The whole thumbs up, thumbs down. There's no reason Randy Orton should have dropped that fucking belt to Triple H a month later. No reason.
That's because Triple H had a strong stranglehold. He's kind of like Jeff Jarrett. He has to have the belt.
Got that CC, baby. That creative control.
God.
But the matchup itself is great, too. And, I mean, man, Benoit did a hell of a job putting Randy Orton over because Randy Orton was just like, he was red hot. I mean, everybody was like, everybody knew he was the future, but it was just like, this was like, even as being a Benoit guy, I really honestly did not see this coming. I did not think Randy Orton would be defeating Chris Benoit on this night, man. But nonetheless, it happened, and and I think at this time frame, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think Randy Orton surpassed Lesnar as the youngest world champion.
He did.
Which he was what, 23? 23, yeah.
23, 24, something like that? Yeah,
something like that, yeah. Yeah. Of course, we all know where Randy Orton's career would go from here.
I want to see him back in the WWE.
Oh, yeah. Me too, man. I hope we get to see Randy Orton sooner than later. Now, SummerSlam 2000.
Do we have to do this? Do we have to?
I actually love this SummerSlam because there's some good stuff on here.
Okay, can we just not talk that main event? I will pay you money not to do that.
I don't know. We gotta do justice, though, man. It's like the Band-Aid. Let's just rip it off. So I do remember at the time being hyped to see this matchup because I was like, "Wow,
we
they're
were
really
all
doing
hyped."
this.
But the letdown is amazing.
So we're talking about the one-on-one dream matchup that we never thought we would see: Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan. Which it's just the build-up. The build-up to this was the best part by far.
Yes, the super kick was great.
The super kick was great.
The heel turn was phenomenal.
Shawn as a heel was great. I'll never forget him in Canada. They played Brett's music. Like did the cock tease stuff. I was like, oh my god, are you serious?
He dressed up like Hulk and was doing the Stephen
King. The Larry King stuff. That was hilarious. But now in famous wrestling lore, originally this match was supposed to be about what about Shawn Michaels? Pretty much fuck Shawn Michaels. There, I said it once.
Yeah.
Especially in this fucking matchup. I don't care if you're a mark for Shawn Michaels or not. Because originally in wrestling lore, this was supposed to be a trilogy. So it was going to be like Hulk wins one, Shawn wins one, and then they would figure out what the third one. But of course, in classic Hulk Hogan fashion, he's like, fashion. Oh, I'm only going to do the one. And I got to go over, brother. So, of course. Oh, yeah, and fuck Hulk Hogan, too. Fuck both.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Fuck both of them.
Yeah.
But in Hulk's defense, he didn't want to do all three because he had so much on his plate at that time. They had the TV show.
Ugh.
They had he was managing his daughter's music career.
I'm back, brother. And his son was getting in a DUI and possibly like injuring people for life. Oh, I'm sorry.
He almost killed his best friend and then blamed his best friend for it. Yeah. Even though his best friend was in the passenger. That's why I say fuck Hulk Hogan in a second.
On a multitude of reasons, but let's say it loud and say it proud. Fuck Hulk Hogan. But yeah, this
I just spit on my
you
face.
know you got to be a fucking asshole when it's like you're the biggest dick in this matchup outside of Shawn Michaels. I'm sorry, say what you will. Michaels is great in ring, but I mean, in real life, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But the absurdity of this matchup with Shawn Michaels selling, it is the most stupid, idiotic selling you will ever see in any matchup. Just the over dramatic, just insane. Like when he takes a punch from Hulk Hogan and like he flips over, gets knocked down, and he goofy. It's just like was a fucking comedy act.
Say, this match is great when you're stoned.
Oh well, yeah, of course. Oh, his wife. So Hogan's wife was sleeping with his son's friend. Oh, I could see.
Yeah,
that.
It was a
like.
bad.
I'm sorry, but fuck the Hogans in general. Fuck all of them.
Their whole family needs to go.
The whole family can go fuck themselves, as far as I'm concerned. But
he's married with some weird.
Yeah, didn't Hulk get like engaged or married or something recently? And it's like a girl that's younger than Brooke, for God's sakes.
Yeah, some YouTube like yoga instructor.
Yeah. But there is some good stuff on this show, I think. The opener I thought was hilarious, and I say this because I'm a Benoit guy, but your opening matchup is Chris Benoit challenging for the United States Championship against Orlando Jordan. That's right.
I love Orlando Jordan. Might be a hot take. I thought Orlando was great.
I thought so too. I loved him part of the cabinet, JBL's cabinet. I thought was great.
Underrated faction.
Yeah, and he was like on fire, but that fire would definitely get put out instantaneously here, as this match would go 25 seconds.
Do you know what? Do you know what Randy or that? Do you know what Orlando Jordan has the prestige thing he can say?
He also wrestled Warrior in his last match, right?
I was about to say that's what I was going to say. He in Italy.
Yep, which is crazy to think, but so 25 seconds. Benoit defeats Orlando Jordan.
Yeah.
Now, this matchup should have got so much more time because I remember being so fucking amped up. This was like the one matchup I wanted to see so much.
You couldn't give these two any more time or they were going to kill each other.
This is true. We're talking about the matchup between Edge and Matt Hardy.
Like
this is like the real life heat, like Matt Hardy coming back because Edge had had the relationship with Lita and that whole crazy shit.
Yeah, no, you couldn't give them more than 5 minutes or Matt was going to kill Edge. Like, this was not physically possible to do more than 5 minutes. I'm surprised they gave them 5 minutes.
Yeah. It was an intense 5 minutes though, because I mean, there's some shots being thrown this one. And you're like, damn,
real life heat.
And speaking of real life, oh man, this is the best match on this card by far.
And now with what's going on in 2023, it makes this match so much better.
Oh my gosh. So folks, we have come to that point. We were talking about the ladder match for the custody of a child, because of course that's how all custody cases should go. It should end in a ladder match. We're talking Rey Mysterio going up against Eddie Guerrero for the custody of Dominic. No wonder Dominic turned out to be such a hardened criminal, man. Like, could you imagine being there? The absurdity of this was just so fucking insane because not only just the thought of the whole, like, the process of this matchup, but the fact that they had Dominic setting a young 5 or 6-year-old Dominic sitting ringside with a caseworker holding on to Dominic.
Have you heard of Dominic talking about this whole situation? Like real life Dominic talking about this?
I feel like I've heard him talk about a couple things, but yeah.
He had teachers thinking this was like people in his life thought this was real.
Yeah, I believe that. I could believe
he had
that.
teachers. I guess he had a teacher and his principal come up like, "Hey, what do we need to talk about something? Like, are you good? Like,
are you okay?
What's going on with your life?" Like, they got brought into the teacher's office. Like, "Hey, is there actual shit going on?"
It's okay. Like, yeah. But yeah, just to think, like, this just the insanity of like putting a child's custody up for grabs in a fucking ladder match. It's like you thought Judy Bagwell on a pole was something. Let's put the custody of.
We were talking about Vince McMahon. He did want to do a storyline where he, gave his own daughter a baby. So, like,
yeah, it's not as far fetched, but the ladder match itself was great, and the rivalry that summer between Eddie and Bray was
Vicky's fuck up at the end.
Yes, let's talk about that. Where the fuck is Vicky?
So great.
Oh my god.
And she's turned out to be the worst person of them all. Fuck her.
So if you don't know what we're talking about here, like essentially Vicky Guerrero was supposed to come out and like push Eddie off of the ladder, but she missed her spot. She missed her moment to get out there. So they kind of had to improvise and stuff, and then like Eddie took a nasty fucking bump falling all the way from the top of the ladder. And him just like banging on the mat, like, where the fuck is Vicky? Like you can audibly hear him like on saying this. This is just fucking hilarious.
And again, Vicky's turned out to be the worst human being out of this whole family.
Yeah, but the matchup itself was awesome, and like of course Ray getting custody of Dominic. But maybe you wonder what would have. Well, obviously with Eddie passing, it would have been rough. But yeah, who knows, man? Dominic may have turned out to be a better human. I'm sorry, because he just had that father that was never there for him. Just saying.
And we get another Eugene match.
We get another Eugene against, this time around, Kurt Angle.
This storyline was great.
Yeah, so the storyline at the time was Kurt Angle was wrestling like pretty much kind of mid-card jobber guys. It was like if you could last, I think, 5 minutes with him, you could get his gold medal or something. Well, Eugene did, and this so happened like Eugene won the gold medal of one Kurt Angle. But then Kurt Angle just pretty much came into this SummerSlam and beat the hell out of Eugene to get that to get his gold medal back. Now, this was an interesting WrestleMania rematch, and I think this matchup's actually better. Randy Orton against The Undertaker.
Underrated for both guys. Underrated feud. This SmackDown Undertaker Randy Orton feud, phenomenal.
110% agree, dude. Like it really was a great rivalry, and it would continue on, especially you get to the end of the year and you get to that Hell in a Cell matchup at Armageddon was awesome. But I thought this was a great matchup, and Randy gets the win over The Undertaker here as well.
And Mind Games Taker was playing. Like, this is the point where Taker, when it's like fake, but like he's still doing like the weird tricks, or they're doing the visual aid tricks where it's like, oh, Undertaker's he could be magic.
Yeah. And then also, man, let's talk about your championship matchups, your WWE and World Heavyweight title matchups. So for the WWE title, John Cena defending against Chris Jericho, which I thought that was a fun rivalry for Cena's like first real rivalry to come over to Monday Night Raw, going up against Jericho.
Bischoff trying to get rid of John Cena right away and putting whoever he can against him.
Yep.
Great.
And Jericho, this was kind of the end of his first run there, too, because not too long. As a matter of fact, I think the next night would be his last night. And then you wouldn't see Jericho for a couple years after.
Yep, he gets fired.
Yeah. And then the other matchup for the World Heavyweight title was Batista against JBL in a no holds barred matchup. Which it wasn't bad. It was okay. Not like not a classic. It was cool that because Batista was in his hometown of DC. But I mean, overall, SummerSlam 05, it was quite the spectacle. I think that's the best way to put it. Your main event definitely hachi-machi, but you did have the custody of a child on the line in a ladder match. So
Where'd he go? Yo, what the heck happened?
I lost.
You can't do that to me.
I went out. I was just like, ah! I got tagged out there real quick. I think like Hulk Hogan heard me and he was pissed off. So.
That scared me there for a second.
It's like that moment in Wayne's World 2, you know, where Garth's by himself, right? It's just like, okay, I'm gonna. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that was about. My bad, but I'm back. So let's go ahead and talk about SummerSlam 06. I like this SummerSlam personally. I think there's some great matches on this.
Oh, there's phenomenal matches on 06.
Yeah, there's some great storylines that was built up over time. Let's just start it right off the top. Chavo Guerrero going up against Rey Mysterio. And keep in mind, Rey had just come off his world title win run from WrestleMania.
And this is like
22.
Chavo's first feud after the Kerwin White situation.
Yes, yeah. And, I mean, this was cool though too, and Chavo goes over in this matchup too. Matter of fact, Chavo and Rey would have a great rivalry and would lead to ultimately Chavo taking Rey out, even though Rey was hurt in real life. But still, though, you know, this was a fun opener. I thought it was a great opener, and I always loved the rivalry between Rey and Chavo, man.
It's
now
the
this
second match. This is wild to me.
Yes, because this would be history made. Because this would be the very first major WWE pay-per-view where the ECW title would be defended, as you get the Big Show defending his championship against Sabu.
I just hate the fact that we have to say ECW champion Big Show.
You know what, though? I want to say this, though. I think the Big Show did a great job with that, but it wasn't ECW.
Yeah.
It was. I do like that it gave Big Show an edge and made him into the monster, like killer heel that he should always have been. But yeah, the him being the ECW champion, this is the WWECW title as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But it was cool to see Sabu on a SummerSlam pay-per-view, and I mean, this is just it's like a fun car crash, pretty much. As far as physicality, now. Up next would be a real life car crash, though, because it's funny because I think at the time this matchup they were kind of building it up to be a main event, but like because of injury and just like Hogan's creative control again, you have the one-on-one matchup between Hulk Hogan and Randy Orton.
Yeah,
because at the time Orton was the legend killer. He was going through legends. He beat Dusty Rhodes at the Great American Bash that year. Sergeant Slaughter, so many other guys.
He was doing the legend killer thing. He was doing the ladies' man thing. You know, he was
getting close with Brooke.
Yeah. The RKO on the car.
Oh yeah, that was pretty lit. Cool. But I think Hogan also too, like, was coming off of like a hip, like having the hip replaced or had to get the hip replaced, and
he had just had it done. And he was like, yeah, let's wrestle one of the younger guys on the roster.
Yeah. Because Orton should have won this clean, but of course Hogan goes over on him, and I think that's part of the reason they put it so low on the card, because it was like, nah, garbage, utter garbage. But dude, this next one, honestly, this is probably my favorite match of the night.
Yes,
I Quit matchup between Ric Flair and Mick Foley.
I love because of again the real life heat.
Yeah, because they had just come off a tremendous 2 out of 3 match, 2 out of 3 falls matchup at the pay-per-view finishes prior to this. And yeah, they have this I Quit match, and it's just a bloodbath. This is like Ric Flair in 06 is like Ric Flair really amazed me in all the shit he was doing in 06 because he was getting thrown off fucking ladders. He's getting thrown on thumbtacks. He was using barbed wire baseball bats. It's like, where the fuck did this Ric Flair come from? Because this isn't the Nature Boy I grew up watching, man.
Yeah, no, he's definitely trying to prove himself, and I think he's trying to expand his, show he's more than a one-trick pony.
Yeah, shit. I think at this point he's definitely in his 50s, if not. Yeah, he's definitely in his 50s.
Yeah, he's in the 50s at the time.
Yeah, and like you say, playing off the real life heat between him and Mick Foley from Ric Flair's book.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to see this matchup, man. Now the one thing I will say that's kind of a cop out was Melina being there in Mick Foley's corner, and like that's ultimately like Mick quits because Flair is gonna like massacre Melina pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is just like, what the fuck? Or no,
Well,
I think no, it wasn't that. Flair was beating the shit out of Foley so much, and Melina was like begging Flair to like stop it or whatever.
Yeah, she threw in the white towel, and then the next night on Raw, she stabbed him in the back.
Yep. Oh man, but we go from one real life heat situation to another one. Let's talk about this world.
This has a lot. There's a lot of real life heat in this whole pay-per-view, and it's really great.
Yeah, I think that's what made it fun. But we're talking about the world title matchup between Batista and King Booker for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, in case if you don't know how this whole rivalry got started, is there was a magazine shoot earlier in the year with all the WWE roster, and pretty much Booker T and Batista got a huge fight at this show, at that photo shoot,
and just beat the fuck out of each other and had to get broken up. I remember hearing about that in dirt sheets as a kid in middle school. And I'm just like, whoa.
If it was near me, I'd grab it, but I still have that magazine to this day, actually. And I remember like there was literally the back of the issue. There was literally one photo of Batista because that's all they could get out of it. That was because they had that fucking fight and stuff. But ultimately, Booker T would retain the world title in this one, although Batista would win, but it would be by a DQ finish. Now, in this time frame in 06 and that summer, one of the hottest rivalries was because my DX, D-Generation X, had been brought back. So Shawn and Triple H are back together, back in the saddle again. And they were at war with the McMahons, Vince and Shane, in this tag team matchup.
I hate this DX.
I don't like it, but I don't hate it. It's just kind of there. The one thing I did like about this is you got the Vince Loves Cock shirt.
You see, the middle school jokes were cool in 97.
But 06, it's kind of...
Yeah. Like,
and plus, too, Shawn's found Jesus, so he can't say anything offensive, but he can still be a fucking asshole. But anyways. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry if Hambone or if Dad 3 or if MWO is watching, man. I know that's your boy. So, but I'm sorry, but yeah, Shawn was a dick.
It always will be.
I thought it was interesting too because the McMahons come out. This ended up being kind of like just a gauntlet of just going through different, like the Spirit Squad comes out, and then it's like random. You get like Finley and Mr. Kennedy, and like
I think Umaga shows up.
Umaga shows up, then Kane shows up to beat up Umaga. You get the Big Show comes out, and there's just crazy shit that happens in this matchup. And like pretty much, I think if I remember correctly, I think Triple H gets taken out, and Shawn works the majority of the matchup. Like it's actually some fun storytelling in that rivalry and stuff. But this was an interesting plateau of that feud, I thought, between DX and the McMahons. And in your main event, the WWE title is on the line with Edge defending against John Cena. What was interesting about this was in John Cena's hometown of Boston, Mass. However, the stip going into this was if Edge got disqualified, he would have lost the WWE title. I don't know about you, man, but I thought it was a surefire bet John Cena was winning back the WWE title at this show.
Yeah.
I was shocked as shit when when Edge actually retained the title. And I thought that was the right move. But the crazy thing is, a month later, they go to Toronto, Edge's hometown, now where they're cheering the shit out of him. And ended up, Edge drops that belt in a TLC match to Cena.
So we got to remember, and for the wrestling fans who actually don't pay attention to this, the champion always loses in his hometown. The wrestler always loses in their hometown. That is a WWE thing.
I was gonna say that's a WWE thing for sure.
Because AEW does the complete opposite. That if you're in your hometown, you're completely gonna win.
Yeah, it's a foregone conclusion pretty much. So.
But yeah,
but I thought 06 was a decent SummerSlam. You had, like you said, there was some real life tension going into this SummerSlam. Now let's go 1 year later to SummerSlam 07. And I gotta be honest with you, Michael. At this point, I'm really not watching the product. And there's some stuff on here where it's like I can completely see why I wasn't watching the product.
Yeah. 07 to 010 was not a good year if you're a WWE fan.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, But 07, so you kick it off with Kane and Finlay in a one-on-one matchup because fuck it, let's put those guys together. Like, I honestly don't remember anything about like a rivalry. I know that they had built this up because I remember hearing the announcers talk about it, and I think they even showed some stuff before.
Same too, Irish.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, whatever. You know, not a bad matchup, but it's just unforgettable. Yeah. I think it's forgettable, I should say. Triple threat match for the IC title. This three-way. Umaga defended against Carlito and Mr. Kennedy. Once again, it's just like, okay, I guess let's get these guys on the card.
Yeah. This for the IC title, like 06 is an underrated era for the IC title, but like 07 to like 09, yeah, and of course, pretty much until Miz and Dolph show up, the IC title was pretty much forgotten about.
Yeah. Now the big thing on this SummerSlam is you get big returns. You got two big returns, and the first one was Rey Mysterio returning to go up against Chavo Guerrero.
Yes.
So a rematch from the year before. And I agree, Irish. Yeah, I was definitely watching TNA more than WWE's product at this point. But yes, you get the return of Rey Mysterio. And by the way, his gear was pretty sick coming out like it's as the Silver Surfer. He's got the silver body paint shit.
Yeah.
Always thought that was pretty dope. But you get Rey Mysterio going up against Chavo, avenging his loss and getting taken out by Chavo the years prior, pretty much. Now you also have a battle royal for the women's championship, not for the title, but the number one contendership, which is kind of like,
yeah,
you can't put the title on the show, but by God, we'll have a battle royal to determine the number one contender.
Yeah. Again, I don't understand.
Yep, it's just like I think this was let's get them on the show. Beth Phoenix ultimately won that battle royal. Michael, I want to say this. I'm not a huge fan of the WWE CW era, but I do think this was a great rivalry.
Yes.
Because you get an ECW title matchup on this show with John Morrison defending against CM Punk.
I will say, during that weird ECW WWE era or whatever, Punk, of course, we know was goated in this time. John Morrison definitely rejuvenated his career.
Oh, yeah, dude, absolutely. Like, you get freaking the shaman of sexy, pretty much.
Yes.
This, like, John Morrison, and that's the thing. That's the weird thing about WWECW is, like, which, God, I feel like, as much as I hate to, that could probably be an episode of Learning the Ropes we could easily do. But I feel like so many guys like a Mark Henry, like a John Morrison, like a Big Show, it really that helped those guys kind of reinvent their careers.
Yeah, and it kind of built some guys, even though they ended up getting screwed and released. Because if you did the right thing, you could have built Marcus Corvon.
Oh man,
you could have built Elijah Burke.
Oh yeah.
Kevin Thorne could have been someone.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I can't get past Mordecai, honestly. So. Yeah, and yeah, you're right. Big Show and Flair did have a great title match on an ECW episode. That's where I saw about where Ric Flair got put through freaking thumbtacks.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
But back to this SummerSlam, we mentioned returns. You also do get a returning Triple H, because remember Triple H was tore his quadricep earlier
Yes.
in this year and was out of action for a while, and he returned to go up against King Book, which I thought was kind of weird because it was like they really wasn't like a rivalry per se, but yeah, Derek, I think you're right. I think we are going to have to do a freaking WWE CW episode. I think, as bad as I hate to, I think we gotta shed some light on it. But yeah, I just was like, okay, this is Triple H's return matchup, and he's going up against King Booker, which King Booker character was red hot at that time as well, man.
Again, phenomenal.
Love King Booker, along with the Almighty Queen Sharmell. Now, this next one's where you lose me. Probably worst match on the card. World Heavyweight title match. Your champions, the Great Khali against Batista. Just yuck.
I can't.
I'm sorry, but Great Khali.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Great Khali had like a time period, like when he first got in, where he was that monster, and then after a while, it's like, oh, there ain't much to this character.
No, there really isn't. Yeah, it was just kind of, it was very. Yeah, I never liked the Great Khali. I'm sorry. Like, not once did I ever was like, oh man, I got to see a Great Khali match. That was
He
like
had moments where I was like, okay, this dude's a badass. But like when he almost killed Ray with the head squish.
What about when he almost killed Hornswoggle?
Yeah.
I like I say, Great Khali, I was just never a fan. Yeah, we knew. There you go, Iris, the longest yard guy. You're absolutely right, man.
Or the football movie with wrestlers.
Yeah, he did have a short shelf life, that's for sure. And then in your main event, you do get a classic in their rivalry. John Cena defended the WWE title against Randy Orton, man.
Phenomenal.
And this also, too, I remember going into this, the build was freaking great. They built up Randy Orton to just was a killer at this point, man. It was almost like, because this is also, too, this is right, very close. We're like this close to get voices Randy Orton, This is like that psychopathic,
this is right before like creepy, like killer Randy Orton, where you're like, is he okay in the head?
Yeah, but, and I mean, Cena and Orton always had a great rivalry, man. But great main event, like, I don't know, SummerSlam 07, once again, I think the reoccurring theme of some of these eras of SummerSlam we're talking tonight are mid. They're just like, they're not knocking my socks off. I'm sorry.
Yeah, why do you guys always bring me onto the show when we talk about the mid-era pay-per-views? This is becoming a recurrent thing, and I don't know if I appreciate that.
Yeah, because even B-roll had to like set out this one. So
yeah. Every time you bring me on the show, we talk about the mid-era, the mids.
Yeah.
When it comes to
you and I and our wrestling knowledge, we're the cleanup crew for this, my friend. So
touche.
Appreciate you. Well, I appreciate you coming on and helping get through some of these. That was right after Bim. Yeah, because I was literally like, I'm done. I can't do this shit. Yeah, because remember, Benoit was supposed to go against CM Punk at that Night of Champions.
Yeah,
and they put
I
in.
Forgot
Morrison
it was that.
Yeah, so this is literally like, I think it happened a month before this. So yeah, but we go a year later, my friend, and we're going into my backyard. Coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana, SummerSlam 08. And I got to be honest with you, I did not go to this one because, it was still hard for me to watch wrestling at this point.
Understandable.
Stuff. But this, in hindsight's a pretty good card. I do have to admit, I did end up watching this like later on. It was like, I enjoyed the card. It's interesting too, because you're like, your championship matches are shit, but you're like your two like specialty matches, because I would dare say there's like a quadruple main event or like 4 big matches on this show.
Yeah.
So the matches we're talking about here, let's first and foremost, you've got for the World Heavyweight Championship, it's CM Punk who is champion going up against JBL. It's like, okay. I don't know. Like, I don't really know what to think of this, to be honest with you. It's
a mid match.
yeah, it's just like, okay. And it's like, but it's definitely the better of the title matches, because on the opposite side, you got Triple H defending the WWE title against the Great Khali.
Yeah, Khali in the title picture is hilarious.
Shouldn't be there, man. Should not fucking be there, man. I'm telling you. Just no.
This is one of the only pay-per-views that I can remember where neither of the titles or main events.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a good thing they did it that way, because the specialty matchups, that's what sold me on this show. So first off, you get for the very first time ever one-on-one Batista going up against John Cena. And this was epic because it was like, these are like, you had Batista over on SmackDown running things, John Cena on Raw doing his thing.
Yeah, these are the two faces of the O2 OVW class.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, this matchup was the first time they ever met. Now, I'll never forget the spot where Cena goes to do the famous or the rocker dropper from the top and gets caught in the Batista bomb, pretty much, and really got hurt doing that.
Yeah.
And Batista would win this matchup too, the first matchup between them, which I thought was a huge moment for Batista, but by far the best match on the card. The end of the rivalry coming to an end. Back when Hell in a Cell matches still meant something, damn it. The Hell in a Cell between The Undertaker and Edge, and their incredible rivalry they'd had all year long. And finally, Edge getting his one-uppings against the Dead Man. Like, this is a great Hell in a Cell matchup.
Phenomenal.
This, like,
this match and their Mania match are like my two favorite matches.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. That's definitely a fair assessment. I would say both these matches are freaking awesome, man. But yeah, this is like, to me, this matchup, it felt like this is what like an actual Hell in a Cell matchup should be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, brought it back old school.
Yeah, this is like the end of the rivalry. Let's get physical. Let's pull out all the stops, and they did in this matchup, man.
So there's something when I look at this card that I forgot was even a thing.
Glamorella?
Oh, hell no. I Glamorella. That shit's hilarious.
Oh, I love
Glamorella. No, I was going to talk about Tony Atlas managing Mark Henry.
Oh, yes. Tony being the manager of Mark Henry and ECW. Because, yes, we do have an ECW title match on this show with Mark Henry defending against Matt Hardy. That went 33 seconds.
Yeah, no,
and ended in a DQ. Like, who gives a shit? This match should not have happened.
No.
Just a weird. This is like, you thought ECW was bad before the year before. This, it's like, and I mean no disrespect to Mark or Matt, but it was just like, I don't give a shit about this.
And
also, maybe a hot take, maybe not. I think that belt design's one of the ugliest belt designs I've ever seen.
Is this the big silver?
Yep.
Yeah. Horrible. No, that is disgusting.
It.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Gross.
Not
the fact that they ended ECW's legacy on that belt is bullshit.
110% agree, my friend.
But Glamorella is phenomenal.
Yes, let's talk about Glamorella. Like Santino Marella and Beth Phoenix going up against Kofi Kingston and Mickie James. And what's interesting about this matchup, it would be for the Intercontinental and Women's Championship, as Kofi and Mickie were the champions. And Glamorella ended up picking up the win, becoming the IC and Women's Champion. I'll just never forget the ending of the celebration where like Beth Phoenix puts Santino up on her shoulders.
So great.
Oh my God.
Like, Santino, underrated as fuck, and he's doing phenomenal things in Impact.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's killing it in Impact. Yep, absolutely, my friend. Yeah, the ECW belt was just so damn generic at this time frame. Ugh. Yeah. And you did have a... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, that second match of MVP versus Jeff.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a great opener, man. I loved MVP.
You have MVP's rivalries with the Hardys.
That's some of his best work, I think.
Like both rivalries are phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
the rivalry he had with Matt on SmackDown where they were doing the different sports.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, dude. 110% agree with you, my friend.
So what I love is they have one match on the pre-show. And it's Big Show beating some guy who I don't remember and Bam Neely. They don't even have a time on this match on Wikipedia.
So Bam Neely was one of those guys. He was there for a cup of coffee. He was actually a part of the Vicky Guerrero
La Familia.
stable. Yeah, La Familia.
The big bald-headed dude.
That's him.
Holy shit.
You just forgot his name's all.
Yeah.
It's easy to understand why, because it was the drizzling shits.
Oh, I forgot that was a thing.
So now we're going to talk SummerSlam 09, and now we are getting into the era where WWE starts hosting the biggest party this summer, pretty much at the Staples Center every damn year. As this was the first of, I think, at least 5 SummerSlams, maybe if not more, where they're all held out in Los Angeles.
It's kind of like what AEW does with Chicago. I hate that when they keep the pay-per-view at one city.
Hey, Chicago, it's in my neck of the woods, and I'm going to be at All Out this year. I'm just saying. So keep coming to Chicago, AEW. I'm for it. Because I could get to go to those shows. I'm just saying.
They need to bring a pay-per-view to Washington because our crowd was hot when they came here.
Yeah, you definitely guys need some more shows there, too. Not only AEW, but WWE.
I don't know why he had the name Bam Neely. It's weird.
I don't know. I have no idea how they come up with that name. Like, just there.
I don't know how they come up with 99% of the names they say.
Yeah. Absolutely, my friend. So SummerSlam 09, your first SummerSlam from the Staples Center. There's some fun stuff on this one, honestly, I think.
I think this is a really good pay-per-view.
I think this is a solid show, honestly. Great opener for the IC title, Rey Mysterio and Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph.
Oh man, this is a young Dolph Ziggler too as well. Like, and I thought like him going up against Mysterio, man. Oh man, this was Dolph just like really starting to kind of kick off his singles run too. But a phenomenal opener. This was an okay
match.
Yes, this next one's actually a pretty decent matchup. MVP against Jack Swagger.
Like, who would think I would say okay match with Jack Swagger in it?
Yeah, but I mean, it was pretty decent, and like this is like babyface MVP at the time too as well.
Yeah.
And then how about this one for your undisputed unified tag team titles? Remember the team of Jericho, Chris Jericho, and the Big Show?
I love that tag team, but I love the tag team they face even more.
Prime time, baby. JTT and Shea Gaspard, the late great Shea Gaspard.
They should have won the belts at some point.
They should have. They should have been tag champions. They were red hot. Everybody loved Crime Time. Like everybody, they're still. Oh, you're good, brother. It's all good, Dad Hat. You're being a
love
dad.
You too, Dad Hat.
Love you, buddy. Oh yeah. The episode where they were in Seattle, yeah, that crowd was on fire. Which your boy Michael was there. That was a help.
They need to bring this back.
But yeah, dude, the Jericho team was great, but Crime Time should have been tag champions. Like so freaking over. It's not even funny how over they were.
And then we get to talk about your guy for the third straight pay-per-view that you hate, and I kind of love that.
Once again, another great Khali matchup. He is modern day Giant Gonzalez, damn it. And like I don't need Giant Gonzalez. I only had him at like one freaking at one SummerSlam. Not 3 in a row, damn it. Ugh, yikes. But yes, this match happens. Kane against the Great Khali. Who fucking cares? I'm sorry.
This next match
Now,
is
this
phenomenal.
next one, though, you talk about a generational matchup, the legacy of Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase going up against DX, Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Because Randy
This
Orton.
has a whole bunch of things going on with it now, hindsight.
Yes, which is crazy to think nowadays, especially too, man, with like where Cody's at, you know. But this is like,
where Ted DiBiase Jr.'s at now
Oh.
with his life.
yeah. So Ted DiBiase, yes, he's pretty much fucked. Well, you know what? What it is, the state of Georgia fucked on him. I'm just saying. Ay. How crazy is that story too? Like art imitating life with the $1 Million Man. It's just like, ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, that's not good. But yes, Ted DiBiase and Cody Rhodes going up against Shawn and Triple H, and them kind of getting the rub early on, and it was kind of cool for them to be in those spots. And just look where Cody is now. You know, I mean, I'm sure this is still like a fond memory of his, and like a huge part of Cody's development early on. I always remember too the entrance on this one as well, where DX comes out in the tank pretty much.
Yeah.
And they're doing the pyro and shit. So, I don't even know if this next one we should count it, but
No.
once again, you get a short. Look at this back-to-back SummerSlams where the WWE CW title is defended in 30 seconds or less. And on paper, this should be a great matchup because it's Christian defended against William Regal. But the match literally ends in 8 seconds. The fuck, really? Come on, man. That ain't right. Now we're getting into like the meat and potatoes though, because now we got a pretty epic double main event. First off, for your WWE title, once again at the height of their rivalry, Randy Orton defended the championship against John Cena. This once again, and this is Randy Orton. This is the Viper. This is that cold calculating.
Yeah.
I'm gonna murder you pretty much. This is like that natural born killer is like just the serial killer looking on, man.
Yeah, this is bald headed Randy.
Yep.
Where he's nutso.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But fun matchup, and then Randy Orton ends up would retain the WWE Championship, and then going on last. I was surprised at the time, but it made sense when you got to the end of the night.
This rivalry was goated.
Great. CM Punk defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Jeff Hardy was the champion defending against CM Punk.
Yeah.
In a tables, ladders, and chairs match.
This is like CM Punk bringing back that straight edge, I'm alcohol-free, drug-free, I'm better than you, like Ring of Honor CM Punk.
Yeah, because in my opinion, I think if you look back on this time frame, this is the first time where we're getting like the true GOAT CM Punk in WWE for the first time.
Yeah.
Because it'd been like he's just a good in-ring talent, whatever, you know, but now we're getting that psychological, like, I'm going to get in your head, I'm going to tear you down verbally, I'm going to beat you mentally, physically in the ring. And there's just the rivalry in him. Oh my gosh, just think of it. It's like light versus dark, right? You have the straight edge guy who's like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, to Jeff Hardy, who's, he's Jeff Hardy.
He had been arrested recently, and they were bringing that up in the promos. That Punk was like, you know, you're fucking up. Like you're kind of disappointment.
Yep. Just man, it was what it was, folks. But matchup was incredible. Punk does win the World Heavyweight Championship, but let's talk about the finish at the end of the night. I'll never forget it. You hear the gong go off, the music, or the lights dim. It's like, oh, fuck, Undertaker's here, what? And then it comes back, the lights come back on. Like, Punk's looking around, he doesn't see anything. Lights go off again, come back on, and the Undertaker's like right underneath Punk, reaches up and grabs him by the throat, sets up the Punk's next rivalry with the Undertaker, which is very short-lived. I'm
sorry to hear that, B-roll, but kind of TMI.
Oh, I love you, bros. I'm sweating and nasty. Well,
love you too.
That's good. Love you too. That's good to know, I guess. So, anyways, so SummerSlam 09. Solid show, man. Solid show. But as we wrap it up here tonight, we got one more SummerSlam to cover. fuck was this a failed opportunity? We talked last week about like the biggest like failures of like a finish, but I honestly think this main event probably beats Lex Luger and Yokozuna from '93. Because this summer, oh my god, the storyline was phenomenal. The build was fucking great.
John Cena, I hate
And
you.
then we get fucking Super Cena ruining this fucking epic storyline. And we're talking about one of the greatest storylines of all time, the Nexus. And this is like the red hot Nexus taking over. I mean, such a great fucking debut. One of the greatest debuts of all time. So unexpected, just out of nowhere. Monday Night Raw, you see Wade Barrett there, and they like the rest of the NXT guys show up, and they just destroy fucking everything. Destroy the set.
Bryan Danielson gets fired.
Pretty much for choking Justin Roberts with his tie and that visual. Everything about the debut was phenomenal, and then just like they was just running roughshod through the WWE that summer, and it was just like nobody's gonna fucking stop the Nexus, but somebody would, and it would be only one fucking person, John Cena, because the finish of this match was fucking garbage.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, the members of the Nexus were Wade Barrett, Justin Gabriel, Heath Slater, Darren Young, David Otunga, Skip Sheffield, and Michael Tarver. And if you don't really know, we're talking Skip Sheffield, aka Ryback. Of course, Darren Young, with what he's doing now in New Japan. I'm so happy for him, by the way, too. Like with what all he's accomplished in New Japan. Like Fred Rosser, that dude should have got such a better like push in WWE, in my opinion.
He looked like Cena. Freaked me out.
Yeah, kind of did. So you have the Nexus going up against Team WWE, the super team of the WWE that was assembled by Super Cena himself, John Cena. Although honestly, the way this feud went, it's like Cena could have took them all on by himself probably and just fucking won the damn thing. But whatever.
Yeah.
But this
It
team
reminds me of Hogan and WCW.
This team was so weird. You had John Cena, John Morrison, R-Truth, Bret Hart, Edge, Chris Jericho, and
a returning
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, okay, so now Daniel Bryan's with the WWE team. It's like, okay. It's like, I guess.
Yeah.
But, like, this was an elimination matchup, and, like, Edge and Jericho were, like, top, like, heels at this time. And, of course, like, they don't get along with Cena. But also, as well, too, like, in real life, like, Edge and Jericho, like, chastised Cena over the finish of this. Because...
Oh, yeah.
They wanted
the Nexus guys to go over.
Yeah, the finish of this is stupid, and it's like it is the epitome of Super Cena. Like, and I honestly, I respect Cena, and although we went through that time frame, I was not a Cena lover. In hindsight, I respect him for what he did, but this is like the one thing where it's like, no, I can't respect him.
Jericho says this is one of the main reasons he left that second time.
I can believe that, yeah. Because it's just like, you get down to it's a 3-on-1 scenario, essentially. So it's John Cena against Wade Barrett, Heath Slater, and Justin Gabriel, pretty much. So it's like, foregone conclusion, right? And then, like, the Nexus are doing everything. Like, they fucking DDT Cena, like, on the concrete. Like, he should be dead to rights. They hit all their finishers and stuff, yet somehow he beats Heath. And then somehow he beats Justin, and then like Wade and Cena, it's down to them. Wade does his shit, but somehow Cena gets out of it and wins the matchup. And thus, Team WWE wins, and the Nexus go down and just pretty much lost any fucking momentum at all after that. Like, it just was all down here from the Nexus, which the Nexus could have been just like one of those all-time great factions. Definitely had one of the greatest debuts of all time, but it was just like I say, it just went to shit after this. They've like all the momentum they built all summer literally ended in 35 minutes, pretty much, in this fucking match. Just ridiculous. Now, your rest of your card on this SummerSlam, We'll just run through it. It's not great, folks. Your opener, you get Kofi Kingston against Dolph Ziggler for the Intercontinental title, which on paper sounds great, but it ended in a no contest because the Nexus come out at the beginning of the show. And they attack both these guys, and you're just like, it adds more to the amazement of the Nexus, man. It's just like, fuck yeah. I'm like, give me a fucking armband with the N on it, man. But no, that's it. All just got shot down after that. It's just fucking unbelievable, man. Melina against Alicia Fox for the Divas Championship.
Whatever.
Exactly, whatever. I always thought this was silly. The Big Show in a three-way handicap match against CM Punk, Joey Mercury, and Luke Gallows from the Straight Edge Society.
The Straight Edge Society should have been so much bigger.
Oh, yeah. And they should have won this fucking matchup, too. I mean, come on, man. Punk and Luke Gallows and Mercury losing to freaking Big Show. Like, no disrespect to the Big Show, but come on, man. I don't care how big you are.
No, you had a chance to build that faction into something huge.
Yeah. Randy Orton and Sheamus for the WWE title in what was being deemed as a last chance match. And pretty much, if Randy Orton lost, he'd never get another shot at the title as long as Sheamus was champion. Well, Randy Orton would defeat Sheamus, but by disqualification. So he would not win the title. I vaguely remember this, honestly. I remember Sheamus was at this point a two-time WWE champion. Yeah, Irish, you're right. You're glad you didn't watch these three because you didn't miss much, dude.
Yeah.
Just vaguely remember him being like, I think he won the title at a four-way match or something and held it for a couple months. I can't even remember who the fuck did he drop. I think he did drop it to Orton a month later or something, maybe. I don't know. You could always Wikipedia that shit.
Facts.
And then for the World Heavyweight Championship, we got Kane going up against Rey Mysterio.
Which I had forgotten about this feud.
Same here, brother. Same here. Because remember, Kane had won the men's Money in the Bank SmackDown match and cashed it in that night against Rey. And the stupid fucking storyline out of this was, I love you, Rey, but Rey Mysterio had taken out The Undertaker. And Kane was avenging The Undertaker because of Rey. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. Little Rey Mysterio taking out The Undertaker? No.
No. Every storyline going into this pay-per-view was trash.
110%. And minus the Nexus thing, though. The Nexus thing was great. It just ended fucking terribly. Now, Kane retains his world title. Ends up pretty much... getting ready to put Bray in a casket that's ringside, and then Undertaker shows up, and like Kane's like, "Oh my God, the Undertaker's here!" Blah blah blah. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, these last three SummerSlams that we've talked about, I'm not gonna lie, there was minus the one in LA, like the one with the TLC match. I mean, Indianapolis was okay, but this one just was the exclamation point on the piece of shit of the SummerSlams of this era. I don't know, man. Like, it's like I say, the best way you can describe this era of SummerSlams is mid. Not the best, not the worst. Well, some of them are, but I can assure you folks, next week we are going to get into some much funner SummerSlams as we continue on our countdown, as we'll be discussing SummerSlams 2011 all the way up to last year's SummerSlam. Which there's some good ones coming up, man. Trust me, they get a lot better, a lot more interesting. I just think this was kind of like a downtime for those SummerSlams.
Yeah, no. I think for all pay-per-views, this is a weird era.
It really is, because you go from the ruthless aggression to the PG era, and it's just kind of like, meh. But Michael, I want to thank you so much for gutting this out with us. And I want to thank everybody who's checking us out. Huge shout out to Irish and Derek for keeping the chat lively. And I can understand why some of our guests got sick and couldn't make it tonight because they couldn't make it through this shit. But damn it, Michael and I, we stuck it through and we got through it. We will move onward and upward from here. But as always, when we get down to the end here, let us do one last Bugapalooza. Can we create some cameo skits for next week's episode? Sure, why not? But as always, we end it with a Plugapalooza. Michael, tell us where we can find you, brother.
MJDuplessis 1992 on TikTok.
There you go. And
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet. We like it. As I mentioned before, Cold TV busy week this week, so you can catch a replay of PW60, as well as a replay of Coldcasts or podcasts where we talk about TGIF Fridays. And I'm not talking the restaurant. I'm talking about the sitcom block from the 90s. Also, part 2. This is an awesome series. If you all want to get into Stardom, you should definitely check this out because our buddy Light Skin Gaijin, it's part 2 of his 3-part series talking about the 5-star Grand Prix from Stardom. It's an incredible series. It's a great watch, and you should definitely check that out. And don't forget to tune in back here tomorrow night as we will have a brand new episode of Friday Night Movie Night. And I got to tell you, this one goes off the rails. It's a pretty wild one. And the movie we're watching, so it's Roddy Piper night tomorrow here on Friday Night Movie Night. The movie we're watching, Hell Comes to Frogtown.
I've never even heard of this movie.
Oh my goodness! Well, you can check it out on Tubi for free, and they're not paying us yet. But
God, you tell me that. Oh, Tubi
man.
is horrible.
Oh, Tubi's got some good stuff on there now.
It does has the Urban Wrestling Federation. Great.
They do have some wrestling content on there.
They have some great wrestling. Urban Wrestling Federation. I think they still have Lucha Underground on there.
Oh well, there you go. See. All the more reason why you should check out 2B. Just a shout out there. But yeah, you're going to want to check out tomorrow's Friday Night Movie Night. It is hysterical. So, well, once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us here tonight on Learning the Ropes as we got through SummerSlam's 99 to 2010. But don't worry, we're going onward and upward next week as we conclude our series of History of Summerslams as we talk about SummerSlams 2011 to present day. But once again, that's going to wrap it up for us. Michael, thank you again for coming on, brother. I appreciate you. And everybody, we will see you next week on a brand new episode of Learning the Ropes.